Unfortunately, this is all too common when playing a match on Vikendi. So is this. Just about every match is plagued with these issues, and it's a shame because Vikendi is a great map and definitely the most unique and detailed PUBG map to date. But why do these issues happen in the first place? It's true that we still have some issues with rendering on the other maps, especially Miramar, but Vikendi is seriously behind. PUBG Corp put out an update on their forums going over some of the issues that we're seeing on Vikendi, why they're happening, and what they're doing to fix them. Basically just addressing the issues that we're seeing as far as the early match rendering and the flying vehicles and falling through the map. In their post, they say that Vikendi is composed of a lot of static mesh, and the materials and textures that are used are larger than the other maps. So this means that loading times are naturally longer, which is why they added some optimizations to help to reduce the level loading time. But despite these optimizations, the delays remain due to the sheer amount of textures used on Vikendi, and the delays are still very annoying even on the Xbox One X. So basically because of the fact that Vikendi is one of the more detailed and more unique maps of PUBG is why we're seeing these huge delays. The game can only load a limited amount of files simultaneously, and that's what's causing the problem. So the first thing that they prioritize obviously is the ground, and then the nearest buildings, and then everything inside the buildings around you. That's why if you do a hot drop, it takes much longer for the buildings and everything to appear, rather than if you fly far away from the plane and you land at your location, usually everything is spawned in at that point. On Xbox One and PS4, unless you have the game installed on an external SSD, you'll see these early game rendering issues all the time on Vikendi. Flying down to the map, it's even hard to see where you're landing, and once you land on the ground, it's a massive struggle to get equipped for an early fight. What this does is it causes you to adjust the way that you play the game because of how it performs, which is wrong. I had someone mention this to me in a previous video, that we really shouldn't complain about the rendering issues if we don't have the game installed on an SSD, because all of us know that that solves the problem. If you buy an external SSD and install PUBG on that, it's very likely that you'll have much better rendering and you won't see these problems, especially early game, where the buildings just simply aren't there. Now to that argument I say no. It's not right to expect customers to pay more just to get one game to function properly on their system. It's the responsibility of the game developer to get their game in a playable state if they put their game on console. It should work without any special equipment needed. That's how consoles work. I understand that PC games have a large discrepancy in quality depending on your hardware, but consoles are more or less an equal playing field performance-wise. Obviously, the Xbox One X is going to perform better than the base Xbox One or Xbox One S. Same goes with the PS4 Pro, it's going to perform better than the PS4, but those differences aren't so extreme that they are game-breaking differences. Someone having PUBG installed on an external SSD is seeing a much better experience early game compared to those that don't have that. And that's a problem, and it's been a problem since basically day one. We've always had these loading issues where people are teleporting through buildings, getting stuck in walls, getting stuck in furniture, and it's long overdue that something is done about it. Obviously they're trying to fix it as best they possibly can, but we're not seeing a ton of progress. So what can be done to fix it? The game still needs a massive amount of optimization. These issues mainly impact the beginning minutes of a game, but a lot of times those are the most important. They're working to further optimize the loading queue so that building assets will load in faster. They're also looking into ways to fix the issue where vehicles are flying off the ground and you're going through the ground, going into the water. Making these changes could also have some downsides, so they're testing it and monitoring it very closely. They say that they're going to continue to provide updates as they go along, and hopefully we can see a patch on that soon enough, but we'll just have to wait and see. They don't have an exact ETA for the fixes as of yet, but they'll provide another update in the near future. So hopefully sometime next week we get another one of these updates on the forums where they go over the progress and what they're seeing and maybe explain why it's taking as long as it is. But at least they did mention that they are working on this. Obviously this is a huge issue for PUBG on console. Just the fact that you can't get into early game fights in Vikendi if you don't have the external SSD. And you could even argue it the other way. If you don't have an external SSD, you can basically warp through buildings. If you're able to somehow pick up a weapon while you're bouncing around in there, you can see everyone. There's no walls or anything, and you can actually shoot and hit people, even though normally there'd be walls or, furniture in the way, so you wouldn't be able to shoot those people. So it can be argued either way that the people that don't have the game installed on an SSD, that don't get the buildings loaded in, they actually have the advantage. But I think personally, just from my experience, playing on the Xbox One X with no external SSD, I think the people that have the SSD have a massive advantage early game because they're not going to be bouncing around all over the place, frantically trying to find a certain area that you can stand in without having problems and picking up weapons and defending themselves. But this is going to be something that's going to be improved over time, and we've heard this before. This was happening back on Miramar, and in fact it's still happening to a certain degree, but it's not as bad as it once was. But I don't expect Vikendi to be finished anytime soon. I do expect it to gradually improve over time. The truth is, we may never really see the game completely optimized, and that may be okay for some of you. But it's extremely frustrating for most players when it causes you issues at the start of a match and even forces you to play a different type of style of game than you would if all the buildings would load in normally. It shouldn't be something that is outlandish to ask for the game to load properly once you land, for buildings to actually be there so you can go ahead and go about your business while you're playing the game. This isn't an issue where we're talking, oh, the performance dips a little bit and the frame rates drop and, it's just a demanding game, so these things happen. This is a very game-breaking issue, and it's been in the game for quite some time, ever since Miramar was introduced, and I think it was even happening on Erangel. I remember people getting stuck in geometry and furniture and buildings and stuff back on Erangel when it first came out, so this thing has been a problem from the beginning, and it's still plaguing the game today. With lots of new games on the horizon, some coming very soon, even this month, PUBG Corp either needs to improve their game's quality or keep the new content coming as the months go on. Otherwise, players will continue to leave, and I can't really blame them. Apex Legends just came out. I haven't tried that personally. A lot of you guys have been asking in the comments, are you going to try that? Are you going to play it? For me, I think I only have time to play one Battle Royale game, and so I'm going to stick to PUBG. I don't really see myself learning another Battle Royale, playing it, and playing it a ton, just because I have other games coming out really soon that I'm very interested in. I want to try Crackdown this Friday when it comes out. I'm going to buy the $1 month of Game Pass that you can get. So if you are interested in that and you don't know if you should buy it like me, I don't know if I'm going to actually purchase it, but I do want to try it. It's only $1, so I'm going to give it a go. And then next week, Anthem comes out, and that's going to be a huge game for me, I think. Just personally, I love BioWare games and the storylines that they present. And I do think that Anthem is going to have a nice story behind it. It's going to have characters that I can get invested in. I know it's going to be a lesser degree than Mass Effect or Dragon Age or anything like that, but from the demo and from everything that I've seen, it definitely has those elements in it, and so that's what I'm personally looking for, along with the really good gameplay and addictive game loop that game presents. But man, there's a lot of good games coming out. The Division 2 is coming out next month. I don't think I'm going to be playing that, but you can see what I'm saying though. If PUBG doesn't step up their game and fix these issues, you can easily see players leaving just for the fact that they say, well, this game has been out for a year and a half and it's still having the same issues as day one. This is a huge issue for a lot of players, and people like me that don't necessarily want to go out and buy a $50 to $70, $100 external SSD just to play PUBG like it should be. People just can't get behind that. Could I afford that? Certainly. I could go out and buy an external SSD right now, download PUBG on it, and play it tonight, and I wouldn't have any problem doing that. But it's more of a personal decision that I don't want to buy some piece of hardware just for one game, because it shouldn't be that way. It's more of a personal pride type of thing that I don't want to give in and buy this thing just because PUBG runs like crap on the system when it shouldn't. But with all that being said, I don't want this to come off super negative because I still love the game. I play it basically every single night for an hour or two every night. But I make videos like this not because I hate PUBG or because I want it to die. It's because I love PUBG and I want it to thrive. I want this game to be the best it possibly can be so that I can play it for as long as I want. Obviously, we're not at the point where PUBG's dead and no one plays this game anymore. Everybody plays Apex Legends. But if this type of thing continues to plague the game, I can see that being in the future. But that's going to do it for this one. I just wanted to share that information with you and kind of show you what they're doing to try and fix these issues. They are aware of them. They're trying to fix them. We just have to hope that it happens sooner rather than later. Remember to follow me on Twitter and join my Discord. The links are in the description below. Make sure to like the video if you found this useful and subscribe to stay up to date on everything that I publish here on my channel. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Until next time, I'll see you later.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.